with the question that my daughter asked me today. Hey, Dad, the Warriors going to be any good this year? I was like, so.
That's a great question.
Yeah, here's the thing about that. And you know, in the end, it's kind of like, I don't know, but I can tell that you're lean, and I get it. As we sit here today, and there is a Slates, which now has a new meaning, by the way, because there's only one Slater in town, and he goes by the name of Anthony. His article about the Warriors' pursuit of Lauri Markkanen, I think, is interesting on two levels. Confirming the pursuit and the timing of this report. Okay, we'll get to all that in just a little bit. But, are the Warriors starting the season as currently constructed? And if they are, what does that look like? How does it stack up? Listen, I'll say this. Here's one thing that never, I think, got addressed in the summit yesterday and in any reaction to the Warriors' moves that have been made. We compare them directly and we go, okay, Clay and Chris out, and here comes Melton, and what about the back injury, and Buddy healed. He can shoot, but gosh, is he going to fit in the system? Is he going to be a high IQ player? Slow-mo is a high IQ player, but look, he's not a scorer, so okay, we can play with all of the fit. I could see the Warriors being better simply because there is the chance that they do not have this year what they had the last 2 years, which was malcontent players. I'd argue that will be felt in the standings. So I don't know that they're all going to be happy-go-lucky. Things could happen. But 2 years ago, training camp was totally sent south by Draymond Green punching a teammate. And last year, a continuation of the year before, Klay Thompson was completely unhappy and felt like the joy had been robbed from the game. So there is a chance that the Warriors perform better this year just simply because you've got a bunch of people who want to be there.
There's also a chance that they perform better and lose fewer games and wind up as a 10 seed. They could win 44 games and be an 8 seed. And, you know, things could be different in that way as far as where you wind up and how many games you win. I look at what happened last year, and outside of Draymond Green and his lack of self-control, you had an unbelievably fortuitous year. You didn't have a lot of injuries. Steph missed a small stretch. Andrew Wiggins had 4 games of, I need a little personal timeout. Clay played 77 games. You didn't have a lot of injuries, and now you have an older team. Your key guys, your core guys are all a little bit older, and Kavon's back, and GP2 was hurt, and he comes back, and Melton missed, 45, 50 games last year. I just am concerned, and I know that injury is an easy way to look at a reason why a team's not going to do as well, but you had a pretty good run last year of injuries.
But think about all the boxes that you just created that either need a check or an X, and all the ifs that are associated with them. In other words, I know that we look at this and we go, okay, you made some changes on the margins. And I would argue back, it's like, nah, this is not necessarily marginal. Like, first of all, a very significant player left town. That has some bad, that has some good, right? So, okay, malcontent is out, but think of all the other little things that could actually have a large effect. I don't know how Jonathan Kuminga is going to play this year, but I know this. He starts the year as a significant north of 25 minutes per night player. He did not start last year as that. And so there is runway for him. 2 rookies who played very well last year are no longer rookies. And that could be a huge leap for them. You mentioned Draymond. Draymond might not get suspended this year.
Yeah.
It's a crazy idea.
He might not.
But he might not get suspended. Some of the new acquisitions may really, really fit. Andrew Wiggins is a total wild card. I'm not going to hold my breath on him returning to the player that he was, but there's no escaping that last year, that was the worst Andrew Wiggins has ever been as an NBA player. Why did it happen? No clue. Everything is always mysterious with that guy. And I think expecting great things from him is a fool's errand. But could he suddenly just be 18 points a night again? I don't think that's crazy.
I think it's crazy.
I don't. That's what he's always been. Now, does he have the runway to do it here? Is he even going to be on the team? There's so many ifs. But a team that won 46 games that has that many ifs involved in it, I don't think it's crazy. Like, you're right. They could be a 40-win team. They could be a 50-win team.
They could be a 35-win team.
That would surprise me. But okay, I'll buy it.
I mean, let's just look at the individual pieces. Buddy Hield comes in, a guy who is deteriorating. He's averaged 12 a night the last 2 years, and he was deemed unplayable by Philadelphia in the playoffs.
That doesn't make him deteriorating, by the way. That could just make him a bad fit.
You could look at his numbers, and they've been going down, and his productivity's been going down.
Less opportunity. He's not an old man, is what I'm saying.
Right, but he is a player whose best years so far are behind him. And his last couple of years, no matter where he's not been as productive a player as he was before. DeAnthony Melton is a guy who has a back issue, who only played 30-plus games last year, and you bring in Kyle Anderson, who's a high IQ guy, a good defensive player, but not known for his offense. And you're trying to replace Klay Thompson, a guy, even when disgruntled, could still give you 18 points a night, even in a, quote, down year. Andrew Wiggins coming off the worst year of his career, and now you've denied him the chance to play for Team Canada, and you expect him to come back into the fold and be all gung-ho.
I expect nothing. I expect nothing.
Jonathan Kuminga is a player who, we know that he's been a little bit tempestuous, he's been a little bit immature at times in relation to adversity, and if he doesn't get a contract, then we're expecting him to come in and be full in on, go ahead and ball out, play in your last year of your contract, and then, by the way, we're going to hold your rights for the next year, and we can match the option or the offer that you get elsewhere, but go ahead and play with all the confidence and feel good about it, even though in the same spot we gave Jordan Poole the bag and we're not going to give you the bag. I just think that this is set up to have a lot more negative outcomes than most people think.
I can buy that as long as we remove the word expecting, because you used it a couple times there. You're expecting this guy to come in and do that.
We're all expecting Podziemski and TJD to be better. Well, and we're expecting Kuminga to take that leap. So you can't assign expectations to some and not others.
No, I don't. But
you can. But I don't
actually think you can.
I don't want to pick and choose on what you would expect people to do.
Right. I try to limit expectations completely, but I think that certain expectations are different than others. To think that a second-year player will be better than a first-year player is kind of a normal expectant thing. It's rare. I know there's like a sophomore slump type of an idea in sports, but it's rare that players who play for the very first time in a league then get worse as they get their footing and become rotation pieces. Yes, I think it's normalcy to think those guys will be a little bit better. Kuminga and Wiggins, that's a different conversation. Because I think, like I just said, expecting anything from Andrew Wiggins, any behavior, any output, anything, like predicting what that guy does, that's a bad idea. And Jonathan Kuminga already took a big leap in terms of productivity and opportunity. And this year, the only thing that I would expect is that this year he knows what the opportunity will be. The opportunity will present itself from the jump for Jonathan Kuminga. Obviously, this is if he's on the team. And so that's going to be there. Is another jump in productivity there going to coincide? No clue. No clue, no expectation. So I'm not expecting large-scale things. The way I view this stuff is the same way that I view the Giants' starting rotation right now. Am I expecting a big second half from Blake Snell? No. Do I see it as a possibility? Yeah. Is the avenue there? Is the opportunity there? Is it harebrained to think that the reigning Cy Young Award winner will come in and pitch well? I don't think it's harebrained.
Well, you should expect it with Blake Snell.
You hope for it.
Well, he's always been good after July 1.
Yeah, but this is obviously a very different year for him. No spring training and 2 injuries already. I don't know that this second half is like other second halves, but it's not absurd to think that the Giants 2 weeks from now, Harrison is now back. It wasn't a great first start back, but let's see what happens there. Blake Snell's back tonight. Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb are on the doorstep. Logan Webb is an all-star. Is it absurd to think that this is a high-level pitching staff in 2 to 3 weeks? No. Would I expect it? No. I would not expect it, but the avenue is there. And so that's how I currently view Warrior basketball without Lauri Markkanen and without knowing exactly what the roster will look like. I look at this team, and I don't expect a top 6 seed. I think the avenue is there. It's possible. I don't think it's crazy. That's all I'm saying.
It's not crazy, but I look at the roster and I look at the avenue, as you put it, for them going one of 2 ways, and I think that the avenue is more clear for them to have a tougher time. And I look at the offense with Steph Curry, and I can just already close my eyes and picture him running around and being double-teamed in every possession, in every corner, in every sector of the floor.
Yep.
And if I'm an opposing defense and I look at Brendan Podjemski and TJD and Draymond and Kavan and GP2 and Andrew Wiggins, and we can go all the way through Lindy Waters and all the rest of them, I'm saying go ahead, guys. Go ahead and beat me. I'm not going to let the chef get loose and put 45 on me. I'm going to make sure that he gets clamped down. I'm going to make sure that his night is going to be tough. His 35 minutes is going to be very difficult. And if all the rest of you, if you want to go out and beat me, Draymond, if you want to hit me for 17, and if Pods, you want to hit me for 25, and if Wiggins, you want to decide to play tonight and go for 22, and if Buddy Hield wants to go on a heater and go for 30, then fine, you're going to beat me. But I'm not going to let the chef go out there and stick it to me, because this team, by and large, has one real threat on offense and about 3 or 4 maybes and about 5 or 6 no ways.
Here's the thing. I totally share everything you just said. What I'd argue is last year's team was more what you just described than we realized, because we have not been able to undo in our mind the idea that Klay Thompson is a legit elite second option in the NBA. And he's not.
Well, he was after the All-Star break, and they ran down the numbers yesterday during the summit.
Yeah,
he was much, much better.
He was much better, and the shot was fine, but he's still not the guy that I believe Steph needs next to him, especially at this age, which is somebody who can create their own shot late in the shot clock. Klay has never really been that. He was to a degree earlier in his career, and he still can get off a shot, but if Klay gets the ball with 5 seconds left to go in the shot clock, and the shot that he creates is largely going to be a turnaround follow, it's a low percentage shot. And so that is, for me, the most intriguing thing about Lauri Markkanen, which is he perfect? No, not by any stretch. I think he is a much more legit, late in the shot clock, scoring option than the Warriors currently have. And I find that intriguing. I would love for Jonathan Kuminga to develop into that more than he has. He might, but he has not as of yet. I know what his percentage was from beyond the three-point arc. There's 2 different kinds of three-point shooters, though, in the NBA. There's the guys who can shoot 35% because when people see them lining up for an open jumper, they run away from them. Go ahead, Jonathan. We'll give you 5 seconds to line this thing up and go through your slow release. Versus guys like Steph and Klay through the years where the defense is completely activated to stop them from shooting a 3, and they could do it anyway because they have an unbelievable quick release and they're elite shooters. So, to me, if Kuminga is ever going to become this guy that Warrior fans seem to think he can be, the athleticism is there. The finishing around the rim when it's open is there. And the ability to break down a defense is developing. But that guy's going to need to be able to shoot from the outside when contested more so than he does right now if he really wants to be 24 points per night NBA legit option.
32% last year from three.
Yeah, and no one was guarding him.
Right. Joe Shasky on the summit yesterday said he sees him as an all-star in the next 2 years. So, and he admitted that he's going to die on that hill. And I'm not trying to call out Joe because I admire him sticking his neck out for Jonathan Kuminga. I wouldn't do the same thing because I don't think he'll be an all-star over the next 2 years. But I mentioned during the summit that I thought that he needed to develop a better outside shot, 32% from three-point range. As you mentioned, a lot of those threes are kick it out, you're all alone, unguarded. But I look at the rest of this team from three, and Draymond's not great. He was better this last year than he had been in a long time. Andrew Wiggins, still shaky. Pod's pretty good from three. But again, these are mostly open, uncontested threes. And I don't know how much of that you're going to get this year with a different offense without that much gravity.
I mean, I share your concern. Again, I just think that it largely was kind of the case already last year, and they still were able to grind out 46 wins and all the blown losses and all the missed games by Draymond. So, I look at this group, and again, if you remove the word expectations, it is possible. It's the same thing that it was last year. Steph, work your butt off for 26, and we're going to poke around and see if anybody else is hot tonight. Same thing. It was that last year, and it is again.
Right, and a
couple names are different. That's
I don't think that that's a winning formula, especially as the West has gotten better.
Not at a high level. You're right.
And the West has gotten better. Dallas got better. San Antonio got better.
Did the West get better?
The West has gotten better.
Wow. San Antonio is not a significant factor in the championship.
They're better. They're a team that you're going to have to contend with.
Well, the Warriors had a hard time with them last year.
Exactly. So, they're a 22-win team that I'm not saying that they're going to win 45, but if they win 37 games, that's 15 wins that they're taking away from other teams.
Okay, but let's look at that statement for a second, though, before we hit some of this Steph sound. The West got better. I know it's an easy thing to do, and I understand it. Clay goes to Dallas. You think Dallas got better? Okay.
Clippers got worse.
Dallas
got better.
Did the Thunder get better?
The Thunder largely stayed the same, I'd say.
I mean, Hartenstein.
I like him.
Okay, and experience.
Sure.
Young team, now a little bit more experience. Did Minnesota get better?
Don't think so.
Lost Kyle Anderson. Other than that,
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe tiny bit worse,
I guess.
Did Denver get better?
Denver largely stayed the same.
I think they got tiny bit worse. KCP was a key role player for them. And now he's gone. Okay. Did the Lakers get better?
They got Bronny. So yeah. Duh. I mean, God.
All right, fine.
You're welcome.
Did the Kings get better?
The Kings did get better.
Probably.
Bit of an overpay, but
well, and I don't know about the fit, and I don't know about defense, but there's name value there, so okay.
And they needed another scorer, I think. So
did they?
Yeah.
God, I mean, it's Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, already there. Okay, but fine.
They're trying to beat you 130 to 129.
Sure. All right, I'll buy that. Did the Pelicans get better?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, and BI, where does he end up? I don't know. So, did the Suns get better?
The Suns are still the Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, if they could play 3-on-3, they'd win the whole thing.
I don't think the West got better. I don't think the
Houston
West got
better by, gaining a year of experience.
Okay.
Houston's a team that you had to watch out for. And then, Portland and Utah, whatever. But I do think you look around and did the Warriors get better?
Not markedly, not yet.
Right, not Lori markedly.
Not markedly. Yeah, not yet. But Clay goes to the Mavericks, and we go, and DeRozan joins the conference, and DeJounte Murray joins the conference. Well, the West got better.
It's better than Melton, Anderson, and Hield.
Well, no, I'm putting the Warriors in this bucket. I don't think the West got markedly better. I'd almost argue that the East got better than the West got. The East had Paul George join one of their top teams. The East had Mikal Bridges join the Knicks. The East got Donovan Mitchell nailed down. The Milwaukee Bucks will get healthier. The Orlando Magic added KCP. These might be marginal moves in some cases, but I thought, like, if you're looking for conference improvement, I think the East took a bigger jump than the West did so far.
Well, they had to, and the East was, other than Boston, they were top heavy but middle weak, and the West was a much deeper conference. And I look at the teams that have younger players, and those younger teams, same thing we want to say about Golden State and Pods and TJD. Oh, rookie's going to take that next step. Well, look at Houston and their young core, and you could see them starting to get a lot better in March and April, and you have to give them that same next year leap that you're giving Pods and TJD.
Steph Curry talked to Vincent Goodwill of Yahoo Sports in Vegas, getting ready with Team USA, and we've been waiting to play a lot of this for you, and we'll start now. Here's what Steph said. Just break this down, kind of comment by comment. Here's what he said on not having Klay on the team anymore.
Not having Klay, man, it still hasn't really sunk in, just because you've been doing it for 13 years together. And Coach made a joke. He's like, sometimes you can't really find Klay in the off seasons, and you don't really hear from him as much. And then he shows up at training camp ready to go. I kind of have this idea that in October he'll still like, oh, hey guys, what's up? But I know it's not happening. So that'll sink in a little bit once training camp starts.
Okay, I mean, he's going through the same thing all of us are. I'm sure he watched the press conference today and just went, "Well, that's weird. That just feels weird." But obviously, everyone wants to talk about the significance of it, and does it have Steph thinking about other things out in the NBA world? Here are the two big ones. And everyone is focused on Steph saying, I want to be a Warrior for life, but then there was an addition to the comment.
I can clearly say I want to be a Warrior for life. That's always been my goal. And I'm saying that sitting in this chair right now. But like you said, life, and especially life in the NBA, it is a wild environment, and things change quickly, and the league has changed quickly. So we're trying to adapt and evolve. And until that, I'll let everybody know if that changes. But right now, of course, the goal is always to finish my career with one team.
Okay, there's more to play. That's the money shot. What's your take?
My take is that it scares me. It makes me think that, he's starting to open the door toward what might be for his future. And maybe it's the reality of Klay leaving. And so and I'm sure he's thought about it before, but the fact that the big three won't finish their career now as Golden State Warriors makes me think that he is pondering a possible future elsewhere.
Here's the one difference, though, and I think that we're extra triggered by this because it's literally happening with the backdrop of Klay Thompson changing teams. So it terrifies us, the idea that maybe Steph now has eyes for this. There's a very, very significant difference to what Klay just did and what Steph just said. Steph is talking about how the league just changed and it's time for us to adapt and evolve. In other words, we need to make moves to keep up with the Joneses and see if we've got a fighting chance to win. But I don't hear or see anything that would suggest that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors have a deteriorating relationship. That's what led Klay out of town.
Right. But that's now. And
he would have stayed. Whether he thought they were going to win or not, he'd have stayed.
Right. But I think that, you're 2 years removed from Steph's contract being up. And what happens between now and then in 2 years? Think about what happened to Klay in 2 years.
Yeah.
It was a deterioration.
Sensation.
That's a buck.
But it had a lot to do that had nothing to do with the standings. All right. More on that in a sec. How do you